Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Cutting Edge Figure Skating Podcast. My name is Kim Dunaway, and in this episode, I will be covering the pairs event at the 2025 U.S. Nationals Figure Skating Championships. So before I get started with the results, I have to give a quick shout out to Plazas and Fernandez, who unfortunately were not able to compete this season. Of course, if you can believe it, out of all four disciplines, we got through without any dune programs. I'm pretty sure that Plazas and Fernandez had picked dune for their free skate this season. And unfortunately for them, they were out all season with injury. Hopefully they are healing well and are going to be able to be back with us next year. Definitely miss them at the Pairs Championships this season. All right, let's get into the winners here. And that was Alicia Efimova and Misha Mitrofanov. And some people were considering this to be a big upset. I don't think it's a big upset to me. I didn't get a chance to do a preview episode for Nationals this season. Cam and O'Shea certainly came in as the favorites, but I wouldn't have called them heavy favorites. I felt like anybody winning outside of them or Alicia and Misha would have been a surprise. But either of those two teams winning was not a surprise to me. Alicia and Misha did get a bronze medal at Skate America this season. They were just a fluke aborted lift away from getting a bronze at Grand Prix France also. So they were super strong where we saw them this season, the limited time that we were able to see them. And they have always they've had two really fantastic programs this season that I've really enjoyed. That short program is just an absolute stunner, and of course the free skate is just beautiful. And the issue with this team is always with Alicia's side-by-side triple jumps. It was an issue for her in her previous partnerships as well. And it was really what got them over the top here because she really gutted them out. It worked pretty at times. In the short program, she struggled on that side-by-side triple toe that they do. And I've said it too in the other competitions this season, that it seems to vary from competition to competition what is the stronger side-by-side jump for her, whether it's the Salchow or it's the triple toe. I always feel like the Salchow maybe is a little bit stronger because that's what they opt to do the combo in the free skate, but they opt to do the triple toe in the short program for whatever reason. But she got through it. The throw was gorgeous, really, really strong. I would have had them in second going into the free skate. It was a very, very small margin between them and Shannon Howe, who were ahead of them going into the free. I would have had them in second. But that being said, in the free skate, she hung on to the triple Salchow and was able to get off both double axles after it. So yes, it was not the full value of what that combo is worth, which is 10 points. But when you get, 8 points on a combo still, that's pretty freaking good, especially at U.S. Nationals in pairs. That's pretty good. Landed the triple toe. They have so many great moments in this routine. I love just even the opening choreography when he just like picks her up like she's light as a feather. I love the entrance and the exit out of their death spiral that they do. Their lifts are gorgeous. It's a fantastically choreographed routine from Renee Roca. Really uses the high points of the music. It really builds really well. It was super exciting when they finished that routine because it was so well done and they were so excited, so emotional about it. And they had the best kiss and cry reaction all weekend when their scores came up 142 points. And I was like, oh boy, I do not see Ellie and Danny getting 140. Now, Ellie and Danny didn't need 140 points. They had a pretty good lead from the short program, but they went out and just really earned this national title. So this was not something that Ellie and Danny lost. Yes, they did not skate well. I'll get to them in a second. But Alicia and Misha just came out and absolutely won this title. And it was a tremendous moment. Alicia was so excited. Like they were so cute when they came onto the medal ceremony. She was just beaming from ear to ear and high fives, and it was just so tremendous to see. And I remember talking to them after their free skate at Skate America, and she was so serious. So it was nice to see them just have a really great moment and really be able to enjoy it. All right, moving on to the silver medalist here. And I think it's safe to say that McBeath and Parkman getting the silver here are a surprise. Now, last year's going into nationals, they were like my dark horse to win the whole thing. I was really impressed with what I was seeing from them in practice. And just coming from their previous partnerships, it seemed like it might go well. This season has been very up and down for them. I don't know if it's been up until now. It's been up. Right now it's up. But before now, I don't know that they'd really been at their best. I mean, their best score coming into this event was at John Nick's Classic, which we don't have a video for. Skate America, it was really rough. And then at their second Grand Prix, the short program was awful. But they came back and rebounded in the free skate and had a stronger free skate. So I really didn't know what to expect for them. I probably would have had them, fifth in my predictions, just based upon what we had seen in the short program. They had actually gone back to their last year's short program, which I felt like they could have kept anyway. I mean, we saw those programs last year at nationals and that was it. But so they went back to the Lux Eterna that they did last season. I don't think they bring enough intensity to it. However, did have some technical issues. She put her hand down on the side-by-side triple toe and she stepped out of the triple flip. And at this point, I felt like I would rather see them do a throw triple sow and do it cleanly than take the risks to do the harder throw that they're much less consistent with. If it meant that they had a better chance of landing it and being cleaner. In the free skate, they really had more good than bad. I mean, the triple twist was fantastic. They did a triple toe, double axle combo. The throw triple loop was really nice. She did hang on to the throw triple flip and the free skate. They went back to the side-by-side triple flips. So at Skate America, didn't go well. And Katie was like, we're working on it. It's a timing sort of issue because, when you skate with a previous partner, you have a certain timing that you do with that partner. And then you get with a new partner and somebody's got to switch something up, or both of you have got to switch something up. And so for Daniel, he's had some difficulties in getting the timing right with Katie's triple flip. So in their second Grand Prix, they took it out. They did triple sow cow. Here, they brought the triple flip back. Was not successful for either one of them. Daniel went down and she stepped out of hers. I think that this program is okay. I don't think the music does anything for them. I thought the 127 that they got, I was a little surprised. I thought it was a little high. Of course, it's nationals. I probably would have had them in the 124-ish range, maybe. I did not think that was going to hold up to be silver. I got to be honest. I'm not surprised that Chen and Hao didn't get that because we haven't seen them get 120s in quite a while. But even so, with the two of the teams that came behind them just had a really rough day at the office and they were able to capitalize and get a silver medal. And this is Katie's first time being on the podium at nationals. She has been at nationals since 2015 as a single skater and then the last 5 years in pairs. And this is her first time being on the podium. And she was almost as happy as Alicia Efimova. She might have been happier than Alicia Efimova, only in that Alicia was so much more peppy and jumping up and down kind of happy, whereas Katie was like grinning from ear to ear, like she just got engaged kind of happy. She was so happy and just thrilled for them because I want to see all of these teams do well and be competitive. And having some success goes a long way in the long run. As I'm going to talk about when I get with Chen and Hao, when you don't have success, then that's really problematic for your partnership sort of going forward. So I'm really glad to see Katie and Daniel do well here. And a second place is fantastic for them. They weren't rewarded with 4 continents or worlds assignments. I'll talk about that at the end. I agree ultimately with what U.S. figure skating did. I know not everybody does, but we'll talk about that here in a second. All right. On to the bronze medalist here, and that was Ellie Kim and Danny O'Shea. And boy, we talk about the tale of just 2 different programs. In the short program, they were clean. I mean, they didn't get a lot of distance on that triple loop, but she landed it. Like NBC actually had video of Danny and Ellie's moms like holding hands, during the throw and they landed it. I would love to see this program just like this or even better at Boston clean. It would just be phenomenal. They got 77 points. They still have some places to improve. Like Danny has been struggling with the camel spin that they do in their pair spins here in this short program really all season, and it started a little wonky here as well. He did get himself back on track, and they were also just a little off on their music at the end. But it was really strong, and they were 8 points ahead of everybody going into the free skate, so they had a little bit of a cushion. But it wasn't enough because it just kind of went wrong almost from the get-go. After the twist, they went into their side-by-side triple toes, which Danny landed a little forward. He landed it, but I thought, oh no. Like, whenever one of them struggles on a side-by-side jump, it is inevitable that the other one will struggle on the second one, and they did it again. I feel like Leah and Trent do the same thing. And then, of course, the throws. It's the same that we have been seeing. She steps out of the throw triple lutz, and I don't think they've landed that one all year. At least at times they have landed the triple loop that they landed in the short program here. They have landed that at times, but I don't think that this triple lutz has gone well at all this season, which I thought it was an interesting choice to have gone to that from the triple salchow, which they also didn't land well at all last year. It's tough because I keep having this conversation with people on Blue Sky and on X because what is the issue? Is it the timing? Because a lot of the times that has been the thought, is that it's the timing of the issue. For me, I'm always looking at all this complex choreography that they do in their program, which I applaud them for, and they're getting rewarded for when they do it well. But I'm just like, I just don't know that it's the wisest strategy. And I just wonder if next season, if it doesn't make sense to like nix the difficult entries or nix this very intricate transition going into said throw until they have some consistency with the throws. It is just incredibly frustrating, but that wasn't even the problem, right? I mean, it was not just the throws, but then when they got to the triple sows, Ellie fell, which was supposed to be their combo. Danny got off an axle, basically, that kept them from getting a repetition violation. And that particular jump sequence has been pretty inconsistent for them this year. Also, they at times do it really, really well. I saw them do it in practice at Skate America really well when they weren't doing 3 jump combos. They were just doing a 2 jump combo. So it seems like when the wheels start to come off for them, that everything all of a sudden is fair game. And then you get onto that final lift, because even with all the mistakes, it was clear after like mistake number 2, they were not going to win. But you thought they'll definitely hold on to second, right? But then going into that final lift, like, it was so weird because as I was watching, I was like, Danny doesn't look quite right. Like, his knees seem more bent than they normally are. Like, I couldn't put my finger on what it was, but I'm like, well, it seems like he got through it, and then poof, they fell. And of course, these are your highest scoring elements are your lifts. And then to fall on it at that point was devastating because they ended up losing the lift entirely. So in a lift like that, he was spinning around. You've got to do 3 complete revolutions in order to get credit for the lift, and did not. And that was their big 7-point lift element. And that was the difference in them making it onto the second step of the podium and being third here, which for some people brought up the concern as to whether or not they would be making the world's team, which I thought was absurd. But again, I'll talk about that here at the end. Unfortunate for them. They have had a really good season up until this point, and it seems like they were almost due for like one of those really bad outings like they had last year. So hopefully they got it all out of their system. And when we see them at 4 continents, we'll see them closer to the form that we have seen them with this season, which has been scoring more so in that 130-point range with, some inevitable mistakes. Would love to see them go clean at some point, obviously. But definitely want to see them rebound better than this. Ellie was really upset, just really devastated. But it was so cute because at the end, the first thing that she did, because, Danny protected her from falling on the way down, which means he took the brunt of the fall. She immediately turned to him, was like, "Are you okay?" So they do have a really, healthy partnership. It seems like when there were lots of concerns when they first started, like what in the world, Ellie is always falling. They do seem like they fall a lot, but even so, seem like they rebounded okay, and they obviously were still able to save a podium place, albeit not the color that they wanted. All right, getting to pewter, because U.S. Championships has a medal for fourth place, which sometimes I wonder if, like, for some people, I think it's got to be awesome to like get on like that almost, we're almost there. I'm on the podium. This is awesome. But I think for a team like Emily and Spencer, I don't know that they really wanted to be there in that fourth place spot after the free skate that they had. So the first things first, coming into this, Emily apparently had a concussion over the summer, which is something else that they have just had setback after setback. Obviously, last year it was Spencer's surgery. This summer it seemed to Emily's concussion also probably set them back. I thought they were really, really disappointing in the fall. I was pretty adamant about that on the podcast, probably especially it's in the Skate America episode, a Skate Canada episode, excuse me, when I was just really not feeling the programs, really kind of like, where are we going? What are we doing? So in this short program here, which by the way, Spencer was sporting yet an even closer haircut than usual. He had the ponytail for a while, then he's like gradually cutting it shorter and shorter. In my opinion, for what it's worth, the 10 cents that it's worth, this is too short. Like, grow your hair a little bit more, Spencer. I don't love it. I don't love it. Not important. I just had to throw that out there. Okay. So in the short program, I thought that they had better speed than what we have seen them with. She did 2-foot the triple toe. Again, this is one of their... It's funny because all American pair teams are frustrating to a certain extent. But when I look at a team like Alicia and Misha, their issues is largely in Alicia's side-by-side jumps. Their throws are really phenomenal. They had the fluke bailout on a lift in France, but for the most part, their lifts are very secure. Their fundamentals are very good. It's really just kind of like the side-by-side jumps. With Ellie and Danny, it's mostly the throws, but sometimes it's something else. The problem with Emily and Spencer is it's like multiple things. At times it's been lifts, right? Which Spencer got his shoulder surgery. They look much better. It's always been side-by-side jumps, especially Emily's, and it's always been their throws. Their spins at times aren't great. So there's multiple things with them that can go wrong, which makes it very, very hard for things to go right. So again, in the short program, she was a little forward on the throw, off sync in the spins, 2-footed the triple toe. Nothing major, but lots of minor things that added up. As I mentioned when I was talking about Alicia and Misha, I would have had them third in the free skate, but the judges continue to give them the benefit of the doubt in PCS over pretty much all of these other teams, save for Ellie and Danny and save for Alicia and Misha in the free skate. But they were still getting lots of benefit of the doubt in the short program, which the goodwill that they have had for that really, really weak year that we had in pairs coming off of the Olympics where they were fifth in the world, that goodwill's, I'm sorry, it's gotta go. Like, they just haven't done anything in the past couple of years to really warrant these marks that they're getting, in my opinion. But even so, they were second going into the free skates. They were in a really great position to get on the world's team, which I didn't think there was any way in the world that they were going to hold off Alicia and Misha in the free skate, and they did not. They managed to say fourth. I would have had them fifth, but in the long program, they have ditched the second triple, so I really actually congratulated them in that first year after the Olympics for doing this double Salchow, double axle combo. This was before everybody else was doing 2 double axles on the end of a triple toe, and so it was a really smart way to get a lot of points, and they didn't have to do a second triple. This year, they were doing 2 triple jumps. I mean, 2 triple side-by-side triple jumps, and it wasn't working, and I said in one of the episodes they needed to go back to the double Salchow, double axle. They didn't do a double Salchow here, but they did do a double toe, double axle combo right off the bat. But unfortunately, it didn't go well. And she fell on the second double axle, which is a problem. It's their first element before they even do a twist. You're already setting sort of a bad omen for what's going on. And then they immediately go to do their second side-by-side jumping pass, which are triple Salchows, and she just completely bails and does a double. And then hand down on the triple flip. And I just felt like the program could just never get going. And like I said, would have had them fifth behind Audrey and Balaj. I thought that they were, they got extra points on PCS, which is whatever. This is a team to me that they're still in the mix because neither Efimova and Mitrofanoff or Big Beeth and Parkman are going to be able to go to the Olympics next year unless some miracle happens that I've never seen happen where they give citizenship, for competing for a team for just a couple of seasons. Emily and Spencer are going to be in the mix to go to the Olympics. If this was an Olympic season right now, they would probably be going. I think they would be. I don't think they would jump over them and have sent a brand new team to the Olympics if this were the Olympic season, right? So they're in the mix because two teams that are probably better than them, one team that's definitely better than them, and one team that's performing better than them right now aren't going to be able to go. And so they're going to be fighting off Audrey and Balaz basically for a spot at next year's Olympics. I mean, Ellie and Danny and Alicia and Misha could skate lights out at Worlds and get 3 spots. And then that even increases the possibility of them going anyway. So it's worth them obviously continuing to work and hang on. But this is a team that to me, I feel like they're hanging by a thread. Like they don't look like they're having a good time. I don't know what their relationship is in terms of their partnership, in terms of a friendship. They look like a team that's destined to split after next season if things continue to go in this direction, which I don't want to see. I like to see teams stay together. I feel like that's part of the issue that we have had in the United States for so long is that teams do not stay together ever. But right now, they're just going in the complete wrong direction. And I don't have a fix for it. Because it seems to me that it's almost not even about some of the technical stuff. Like it feels like it's upstairs somewhere or it's within the partnership itself at this point. But that's just me speculating. Okay, moving to the 5th place team, and that was Audrey Shin and Balaj Naj making their nationals debut. They were at Golden Spin last month. We didn't get to see them, of course, because there's no video there, but they did get tech minimums and those things. They have not yet gotten a good triple twist. They did attempt it in the short program. It really isn't ready yet, but they went for it. They got credit for it, but they got negative GOE, so they ended up getting 4 points for that element in the short program. So on the free skate, they opted to do a double twist instead, which they actually got 3.89 points for. So they actually got less for the double twist than they did for the poorly executed triple twist. I'm always like a numbers cruncher and what have you. They lost by a little more than a point. Had they attempted the triple twist again and had similar results, obviously it wouldn't have made a difference. Had they attempted the triple twist and had a little bit better results and managed to have gotten, neutral or even slightly positive GOE, that would have been enough for them to have won. Another place that got them was in the free skate. Balaj in their triple toe, double axle combo. She was a little wonky on her first one, and then he put his hands down on his second one and tried to save it, but I guess his butt brushed the ice, and they gave him a fall deduction, which was also a point. That's another place that just so close that they would have been enough for 4th. But in their short program, they're skating to La Hermosa, which is, I think, really cool, underused music. Like Nathan Chin picked this for his Olympic program and then ultimately changed and went back to Rocket Man. Anna Sherbakova had a little piece of it in her Olympic winning free skate as well. They had really nice side-by-side triple toes. That's really a highlight of this team, which makes sense. It's kind of similar to like Leah and Trent when you kind of pick one person who's already a single skater and has really good technique on her triples. It can make for really dynamic side-by-side triple jumps. The throw triple loop was also really, really good. And it was actually the first competition that they've done the throw triple loop. Their spins were off sync. That's something that you feel like they can improve on. Also, a little place that they, could have given them a little extra points here and there. But Audrey was really emotional after their short program because if you remember last season in my women's recap from nationals, I read Audrey's Instagram post that she made after nationals where she was just really unhappy with how her season has gone. She was very open about struggles that she'd had with her body and trying to lose weight and things like that in hopes that it would help her get, better rotations on her jumps. And to see her here a year later, just really thriving was just such a moment. And it was so good for her. She was also sick during the competition. And so she was dealing with that as well. This was really, really great. And then in their free skate, skating to the river flows in you, like I mentioned before already, they did the double twist. I mentioned how the triple toe, double axel combo went, which I was thinking when they did this, I was like, this is probably the first time in a while that Balazs has had somebody who jumps better than he does. Now, he did used to skate with Maria Pavlova, who now skates with Alexei Shevchenko for Hungary, and she does have very good side-by-side triples also. But it's like, hey, he's going to have to step up his game a little bit when usually he's the one, he's the better one in the duo. But they had just gorgeous throw triple loop. What they impressed me with so much, honestly, was their lifts. Their lifts were so good and secure. They had the best lift scores in the competition. I mean, how incredible is that for somebody who's been doing pair skating for less than a year? I mean, I think they started skating together in May, I believe. May, early June. I mean, so quick. I mean, she looks like a natural. And I don't want to get my hopes up too much. Like I'm trying to damper my expectations because I felt like I got so excited in that first season with Leah Pereira and Trent Michaud. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the right partner for Trent. They're going to be amazing. And then that second season, it was like they came back down to earth a little bit. So who knows what happens, months from now. They're obviously going to get Grand Prix assignments. What's going to happen when you've got more expectations, when you've got the pressure of an Olympic season coming up, all of those things. But just tremendously excited about their potential right now. And I think, Balazs is somebody that kind of like Alicia Efimova has had a lot of partners over the years. And I think that he's finally got the right fit in a partner. And I think Audrey has found the right place for her to be as well. And this is not the last time we're going to see them this season, but I'll talk about that here in a second. All right, in sixth place here was Williams and Luer. They are making their senior debut. They were bronze medalists at Junior Worlds last season. Really love the short program. It's so charming. She has a lot of personality, and they have a really great presentation skills already at such a young age. They do have to work on the technical aspect, and for her, it was a struggle with the side-by-side jumps. She stepped out of her triple toe in the short program and fell on a triple Salchow in the long program. But to be sixth here, I think they could not ask for a better place to be, really, in their first senior championships. In seventh place was Koreatek and Chapman. I thought they were just so entertaining in both of their programs. In the short program, they were doing a Michael Jackson medley. I thought they had one of the better pair spins, side-by-side pair spins in the competition. I just really enjoyed it. And then in their free skate, too, they were skating to the Hit the Road Jack music that Amber used in her short program a couple of seasons ago. And again, just thought they were really entertaining. I really enjoyed them. In eighth place was Digerness and Sandusky. And this is a team that has improved a lot over the last couple of years. In my first year that I podcasted, they did this Nutcracker free skate. And I mean, 5 seconds into the program, he just fell off and on nothing. I'm never going to forget it. But I think about that, and it just got off to a rough start. And where they're at now, I love to see that kind of progress. They've been, they were a team that was in that same program, was just doing side-by-side double Salchows. And now in both programs, they were doing side-by-side triple sow cows, and they were really pretty good. It's something that Ashley kept saying that she's really been working on really hard. I thought their short program was really enjoyable. They were skating to like it like that. The group three lift looked really good and secure. I'd like to see them over time cover more distance on it, but it had really nice speed. I just thought it was a great, great performance for them. In their free skate, I feel like there's a little bit more to improve on. Like you can see some of the hesitation in some of their movements. Really do love their throws. They get nice distance on their throws. I really liked the death spiral. We see so many back outside death spirals because it's worth more points, but most of the time they're ugly. I mean, they just are. And so it was so nice to see a death spiral where, she just got to like drag her arm across the ice. It just like it just again give you that 90s pair feel that I miss at times. They've just done so much work. Again, their pair spin here was very slow and it wasn't really secure. Ben Augusto, who was doing the commentating for all of the world feeds on Peacock, said he actually choreographed this program with his wife. So that was an interesting tidbit to have in there. In ninth place was Isabel Martins and Ryan Bedard, who we have seen on the Grand Prix this year. They have had a bit of a rough season coming in. I think maybe it was her knees. There's some kind of an injury that they have been dealing with. They're a team I've always had concerns with their height. I just feel like there's not enough height difference between the two of them. And you can really see it like on the twist, for instance, is something that they really struggle with. In the short program, they skate to Dream On, which is just really, really, really big music. And I think they do a pretty good job of kind of filling up the space. I like the entrance into their lift where she goes underneath his legs, and they have some really cool variations in their spin. And they just look so happy the whole time. It just makes you happy to watch them. The long program didn't go as well. The skating to Hallelujah, very different vibe, obviously, from the short program, but just too many mistakes. Fell on her side-by-side triple sow cow, double-footed on the throw triple loop. They bailed out of their last lift. So it's just really disappointing for them. But, I think with the injuries that they had sort of coming in, it's unfortunate. They do end up in the top 10, and we'll see. I don't know that they're going to get an assignment this coming season or not, because there's some other teams ahead of them that did well here that I think may be a little bit more promising, but we'll see. And then the last team that I'll talk about is the very last team here, Hans and Neudecker, Grace Hans. Just a real struggle in the short program, but oh my goodness, in the free skate, she just broke my heart. I mean, they had an aborted lift. I mean, it just everything that went wrong could go wrong, and she just could not stop crying. I think everybody just wanted to just reach out and give her a hug. Like, I think we've, a lot of us have had those moments where we just uncontrollable. You just can't make it stop, and the cameras are on you, and it just sucks. And so I felt so bad for her. So I just wanted to give her a little love here. All right, so that completes the Nationals event. Pam Chico Award is so easy. Obviously, it's going to Efimova and Mitrofanoff for that awesome free skate. It was one of the best moments of the entire national championships. And like I said, their kiss and cry reaction was just phenomenal. And I just love when it all comes together. It just love it. All right, now we're going to talk about these world team selections, because I know some people are a little bit frustrated or they don't understand. So it's never been like the top 2 people or the top 3 people, if you have 3 spots, go to Worlds. It's always been a selection process. All right, so this is literally screenshotted. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're watching this in your podcatcher, I'm just gonna read what the selection criteria is. So, the top 5 athletes or teams based upon what is called the calculation of overall athlete performance data. Okay, so this is the 5 criteria that they use. It's a numerical system. So the first one is the current U.S. Figure Skating Championships. So that gets a factor of 4, meaning it carries the most weight, right? The second most weight is the most recent ISU Grand Prix final. The third is Grand Prix score, the highest and the average, Fourth is a challenger score, same thing, highest in the average. Fifth is the senior B. And then the sixth one is the previous season's total score. All right. Now, each of these sort of decreases in the amount of weight. The biggest weight is how they finish at U.S. championships and the most recent Grand Prix final. Here we have pair teams. Only one of those teams was at Grand Prix final, and that was Ellie and Danny. So they obviously have a big notch in their favor here versus McBeath and Park, right? And then Grand Prix score, obviously, Ellie and Danny, much higher than McBeath and Parkman were in that. Challenger, as I mentioned, McBeath and Parkman were at John Nix, where they got like 118-ish points, I believe, is what they got there. And Ellie and Danny were, I believe they were at Lombardia. I get Lombardia and Nebelhorn confused because they were back-to-back. One of those, and they did very well at that. So they had, by far and away, the best resume. And then if you went by previous season's total score, well, obviously that's going to be Ellie and Danny also, because McBeath and Parkman didn't have any international assignments last year because they couldn't compete internationally, right? And so for me, there was no question after the event that Ellie and Danny were going to get the spot along with Alicia and Misha. They've been the two best teams this season by far. I'm not calling McBeath and Parkman what they did in this competition a fluke, but we just haven't seen a lot of consistency out of them to really warrant. Now, had they won here, I think they would go, right? But with coming in second with Ellie and Danny right behind them, you have to send Ellie and Danny. They just have the resume to go. Now, this is where things get interesting because they got the 2 world spots, right? And then for consonant selection is obviously not cut and dry because also in dance, they sort of veered from what they typically do, which I am here for. I am here for spreading out the love a little bit. So at 4 consonants, we're going to see Ellie and Danny, we're going to see Alicia and Misha, and we're going to see Audrey and Balazs. Interestingly enough, they're sending McBeath and Parkman to an Olympic test event in February called the Road to Win. I think that's what it's called. I wasn't familiar with this competition. I was thinking maybe they might get sent to Challenge Cup next month, which is where sometimes we'll see some Japanese skaters go to, some other European skaters go to. So they are at least going to get another international assignment. Now, why did they not send Audrey and Balazs to the Road to Win instead of McBeath and Parkman is a very interesting decision, right? So Audrey and Balazs get a huge opportunity to go to 4 continents. And this also means that Chan and Hao got completely overlooked for both of these things, right? Which is interesting. Now, a lot of people have opinions, and so some of the opinions are, well, they're trying to sort of spread out the opportunities for the teams that are going to be in the mix for the Olympics next year, because we've got 2 teams that we know do not have citizenship. Sure, like, why not? That theory is as good as any, but I kind of think that sometimes we see a little bit of politics at play, and that they sort of throw their hat a little bit behind teams that they think are worth the investment, right? And so for me, that's what I'm reading into this, is they feel like, Audrey and Balazs are a little bit more worth the investment. Now, I agree 100% that they're giving them international opportunities that Emily and Spencer have already had this season, right? They were in the Grand Prix, so they had a couple of international assignments there. Obviously, that wasn't the case with Audrey and Balazs. Like I said, I'm here for it 100%. I think it's a great opportunity for them. But what does it say about Emily and Spencer is the question, right? Very, very interesting. All right. So next week is Europeans. And so we got 3 competitions back to back to back before we have a little bit of a break before 4 continents. And so Europeans should be very fun in pairs. 18 pairs we've got next week. Now, obviously the reigning champions, Bakari and Garizi, won't be there. So we're going to have new European champions. Likely, Hassi and Volodin certainly are going to come in as the heavy favorites. We've got Conti and Mashi, who have had a fantastic season also to challenge them to get back on the podium. We've got the Georgians, Meltikina and Barilava, who have been a bit up and down this season, but pack a lot of firepower when they are on. How did the Hungarians bounce back? They did not have a great fall, and they have all of the talent technically in the world. What did they look like? Hawk and Kunkel, can they throw their hat into the ring as well? Gilardi and Ambrosini have medaled here the last 2 years. This has been a really, really good event for them. So they're also going to be in the mix. So I'm very excited to see all of these teams here. We haven't seen them in a while. I'm definitely going to predict a Hassi and Volodin win here after they had a disappointing Europeans last season. I'm going to say Conti and Mashi for silver. Third is interesting. I'm tending to lead toward the Georgians, but I just feel like at some point it's going to click for the Hungarians, even with that awful short program that I have to be subjected to yet again. But I think that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with Germans, Italian team number one, and the Georgians for the podium, and we'll see how it all shakes out. And as always, you guys, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Thanks for interacting with me this weekend on social media. You can find me on all the socials at Ice Skate Podcast. You can also send me a line at thecuttingedgepod@gmail.com. Definitely let me know what your favorites were this week in pairs, and I look forward to interacting with you, and I'll be back with more recaps. Have a good week.